Hi and welcome to OnSide SA, where Budge and I are going to go through whatever we can with the help of international pundit Stevie B. And thankfully we're back onto the major soccer this weekend. We've had our weekend break, Budge?
Well, internationals, you don't know who's trying, who's playing, and just going through the motions half of these teams.
Yeah. Just let's go back to last one standing. Having had that week off, there's 19 left out of the 49. I won't go through who's taken who out, but ladies, 2 of 19. They're sticking to about 10%. Have you noticed that, Budge?
Yeah.
Tracy Anderson and Kerry Varga. And 3 internationals, 15%. Derek Ramsey in Wales, Steve Griffith.
UK.
And Stevie Byrne had his birthday this week.
Can you believe it?
Can you believe it? How old is he now?
What is he now? 51, I think.
51, you say, a bit of a lark,
no doubt.
No doubt. Okay, well done for your birthday, Steve. So those are the internationals and the ladies, and the other entrants that remain. Paula de Karma, he's always there. The breeder is always there. Mark Jackson.
Yeah, Virginia mate.
Thriller.
Yeah.
Mark McManus, the car salesman.
Yeah.
Doing well. Jeremy Fleming, do you know him?
Yeah, Leeds boy. He's overseas at the moment. One of the Steve Potter's Toti Umsloten boys.
Has he got a photo of his keeper on his wall after that?
The back pass. Yeah.
The back pass. Brad Giorgio, the Investec man. Well done to Brad. Jeff Scooby.
He's he's bowls at Westville. I had a good chat with him the other day. What's up? Right hand over. Tottenham man.
Graham Hawkins, good Spurs man. He's still going well.
Yeah.
Dean Grove or Grove?
Dean Grove, yeah. He's been with us a long time. He's the first guy that sends me his picks every week.
Well done, Dean.
Him and his wife, Nicola.
Gavin Wright, the previous winner, the baseballer.
Yeah.
Dave O'Connor.
Yeah, I know Dave. He's in Westville. I've got to meet him for a beer one of these days.
You only meet for beers.
I know, Angus Napier's mate, drinking mate.
Oh, so you don't meet for a tea or something,
you
meet for a beer?
No, meet for a pint, yeah.
Paul Lafferty, obviously always there. Basil Muir.
Yeah, Mbila, one of Garth Whitehead's.
Also Bola?
No.
And Michael Marinkovitz, Minksy, top man. Oh, there's Butch Fitzgerald, the Toad favourite.
I was with him at races the other day. He's very confident, Paul, so let's see what happens.
Has anyone got 2 choices?
No one.
Just looking at teams that can be used.
Yeah.
1 person can use Liverpool.
Yeah.
2 can use Man City. That's a big one. Aston Villa, 3 can use. Newcastle, 9. Tottenham, 8. Man United 11.
Well, Paul, those are the teams that, when you look at the betting, those are the fancy teams.
Yes,
so a lot can use Chelsea, but they're at Liverpool. So I don't see anybody using them. So
just going through the guys that are left. The most supporters of Liverpool. There's 8 Liverpool supporters. 4 for Tottenham, 2 for Leeds, 2 for Man United, 1 for Arsenal, 1 for Everton, and 1 for Man City.
Yeah.
Well, interesting. Starts when?
Paul, lunchtime, 12:30, I need your pick, because I think a couple of guys could be on Spurs, which is an early game, 1:30.
Yeah, you won't give me out the house.
12:30 latest, guys, please.
Now, our man, Stevie B, we're going to poke some questions at you. Stevie, are you there?
I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning. Before you get him wrapped around, I watched Sky News the last 2 days, and I want your opinion first. What's your take on Thomas Tuchel?
Well, very interesting. I mean, they've given him a very short contract, 18 months, with a specific aim to, win the World Cup or certainly come as close as is humanly possible. And I think they decided that, having sort of gone down, they've obviously looked to see who's available. Eddie Howe had sort of made it sort of known that he wasn't. I think there was another standout English.
Could only have been Graham Potter. There's no one else.
There's no way that Lee Carsley was going to get it. So, but they want to win. And Thomas, he's won in competitions where he's been, and I think that they decided, having gone down the route previously with Sven and Capello, that maybe this was, but the fact is, it is a very short contract with a specific, and if England bomb out and don't do well, then he's gone, and they'll obviously then he knows, he came across well in the interviews yesterday. He knows what he's got to do. He knows English football. He's worked in the Premier League and did well for most of the time he was at Chelsea. So, yeah, interesting. I mean, and I think there's no question after the shambolic way that England have played in the last couple of games that Lee Carsley was never going to seriously be a candidate, I suspect.
Stevie, while I've got you hot on it, I'll say a couple of quick questions for you. The first question is, do you endorse Tuchel, or are you on the fence? And the second question is, why does he keep getting fired?
Well, I think the first thing is, look, and I've seen a number of people being interviewed in the last day, and they say they'd love it to have been an English manager, but who is out there? Who has got the pedigree? And and this is part of the issue, is that if you look at the Premier League, the top managers are not English. So, where are the English manager? Graham Potter was touted at one point, but he's been out of work. The only big team that he managed, Chelsea, he didn't do well. So, I think that would have been a gamble. Look, who knows how it's going to work? They've appointed him now, so as far as I'm concerned, I will back him and support him, and hope that he can get a tune out of some of those players, because there are times when they just do not perform well enough in an England shirt.
Yeah, Steve, my take on it is...
This is question 2. Why does he keep getting fired?
Yeah.
Sorry, could you just repeat
Why does he keep getting fired?
Well, look, a lot of the managers do. Well, I think he's a bit of an abrasive character. Yeah. It sounded like he fell out with the powers that be at PSG. I think that he was obviously caught in the middle of the issues at Chelsea. He was there at the end of the Abramovich reign, and again I heard that he didn't get on too well with Todd Bowley. I think there's a lot of interference, obviously, when they first took over. At Bayern Munich, he obviously did well, won the Bundesliga, but then lost it right at the last minute. They didn't win the title last year, so maybe that was it. Look, 18 months. He's got one task only, to get the team. And he hasn't got long, because the qualifiers will start not long at all. So
his first game's only in March.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't officially take over till January. Yeah. It seemed a bit strange, but obviously because England play the last couple of Nations League games in the group in the next few weeks, so he hasn't got much time. I guess he'll sort of start getting his backroom team together and start having a look at players. And I guess by the time he does take over in January, he'll have a fairly sort of good idea of how the land lies.
Yeah, for me, he was the only choice, no one else. Who else you going to pick?
I like him.
Yeah, he just calls it as it is. The problem in England have got is majority of their supporters don't support Premier League teams. All my Man United mates that I know don't own an England shirt. Most of the Liverpool guys I know don't own an England shirt. They are more about their club than it ever will be about England. You have a look at...
But sorry to interrupt you. Yeah. Steve's point that get your house in order at home. Win it. Let one manager win the Premier League. An English manager, I mean.
Paul, the problem with that?
Yeah.
Is that the top clubs are not owned by any Englishmen.
That's a big point.
The Americans own them. They think they want a foul English manager.
Yeah.
So I think it was a great choice. The problem is he's got 4 or 5 players that play in the same role, and they're his best players. You take Foden, your Saka plays on that. They're all similar players.
Saka, Foden, Grealish.
Unless he gets the balance right.
Cole Palmer, you're right, they're very similar.
Yes, it doesn't matter. Southgate was never good enough. No, but he took them to 2 finals and a semi-final of the World Cup. They were woeful. This guy's
final at home at Wembley.
Well, they lost on penalties, but tactically he'll be better. Whether the team's better or not, we don't know. But for any English supporter to say they're not happy with him, then they must be supporting Preston on one of those bad teams. Yeah. So that's my thing on it. He's a great choice. There was no one else. Yeah, they should be lucky. He should be at Old Trafford, not in charge of England.
What about Old Trafford's boss?
Oh, gosh. The stay of execution. The noose has been loosened again, Steve. Ten Hag.
It does make you wonder whether, what you're sort of hearing now is that they're going through a big cost-cutting exercise, and it just makes you wonder whether or not they looked at what they would cost them to pay him off and thought, well, we're cutting costs all over the place. Do we now want to fork out another 15, 20 million, whatever it would be? So I think if they were going to make the change, they would have done it at the beginning of the international break.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
If things carry on as they are, then he won't survive the season, because at the moment, this is their worst start for a Premier League season since the Premier League started in '92, and it's not just the fact that they're losing games; it's the manner in which they've lost. I mean, they're totally outplayed and humiliated by Liverpool and Tottenham. So, I don't know how much longer he will get if they carry on playing like that.
I think the bet of all time is just obviously they didn't want Tuchel for some reason. Ruud van Nistelrooy to be the next manager of Man United, 3-1. Because there's no way there's no one else. If they want Southgate, he can only come at the end of the season. And he's got no chance.
No chance.
But Steve, a question for you. And I asked one of my Man United mates the other day, and he couldn't believe when I told him the answer. If you had to pick Man United's 4 best players, who would they be? So this was my 4. I said, we'll take...
Hang on.
All right.
Stevie, you answer. I want to hear Stevie before you influence him. But
okay, well, look, but based on sort of how, their form over a longer period of time, I would have thought Marcus Rashford,
correct,
as one. They don't jump out at you. I think Garnacho has got the ability to be one of the best.
Who's 3?
Well, the thing is that there's a lot of players who are probably ranked sort of 5 to 15. They don't have that
Get
many
off the
players,
fence.
I think.
Yeah. Get off the fence.
Mainu?
I don't think... Kobe, again, it's
3.
young and he's trying, but let's say Mainu. And after that...
It's got to be Bruno.
It's got to be Bruno.
It's got to be
Bruno, of course. Yeah, Bruno. But after that, I think you're struggling to get players...
What about the keeper?
You could say, right, we'll jump into... Liverpool or City's team.
Okay. Steve, sorry, Budge, I'm interrupting you a lot today. That question, you've answered it well, and you're very similar to Budge. Now, 3 of the boys that you went for are attacking players. How many goals they scored this year? Your famous 3. How many goals have they scored this season?
It's the lowest ever. Is it
Never
7?
5.
Or is it 5?
Never 5, Budge.
5.
You've only scored 6.
The team scored 5.
Yeah, and those 3 scored 5.
Yeah. Well, Rashford scored against Southampton, trying to work with Southampton. My argument is, Steve, is those 4 players were at the club before he got there. I think he's bought 14 players. Not one of them.
Yes, has improved it.
That was my point. And the guy thought, so Delot should be, you listen to Betty McCarthy, he raves about Delot, how hard he works and so on. But you look, everything we bought, it's just an absolute
Who bought Delot?
No, he was there before.
That's what I thought.
Bought him,
That's what I thought.
So, but anyway, Steve, let's get on to the football side of it.
Yeah.
We've been on a roll the last couple of weeks, so let's hope the roll continues.
Red hot Braham.
Yeah, red hot Stevie B. First game up, Steve, be careful how you answer this. Tottenham against West Ham. How do you see it?
On paper, you would think that Tottenham would be favourites. However, are we going to get the Tottenham of the first half at Brighton or the second half? Because the way they capitulated in the second half, I can imagine Paul would put his foot through the TV back in Durban. Look, West Ham had a good win. I mean, they haven't been at all convincing really this year, but they managed to sort of get it together for the first time properly at home against Ipswich. But I understand that Son could still be out. But look, I fancy Tottenham. I mean, the odds don't lie, and I think it'll be close. I think it could be, maybe by a goal, but I think Tottenham should just edge it.
Paul, what do you think?
I think we'll beat them. Funnily enough, I was speaking to Charlie Pigram from Spurs.
Yeah.
And he said, a bit of a hoodoo side.
Yeah.
So he said, on paper, as Steve's just said, no, Spurs will edge him. Spurs have got the better players at the moment, and Spurs have got very good at home.
Yeah.
They're not a great travelling side, West Ham. But I went to West Ham Spurs away.
Olympic Stadium,
Shocker. You're so far away, you might as well watch with binoculars. And Antonio scored me, lost 1-0. Dyer fell asleep.
That's right.
That's the game that I went to. But at home, I think they're hurting from that second half. Maybe the team that played United will pitch.
Yeah.
So I think we'll win, but you never know. I'm a Spurs supporter for my sins.
Yeah, I think there'll be goals, Steve. There has to be.
Has to be.
Spurs play a high line, West Ham will catch them, and West Ham can't defend. We saw what Chelsea did to them. Was it 9-10, over 3.5 goals? Last time I looked back, James Maddison to score 28-10, and he scored. Yeah. I'm going from again. He takes the penalties.
What price?
27-10. That would be my suggestion. But my only concern about it, it's a lunchtime kickoff, and a couple of South Americans have got to travel back.
The centre half.
Your Romero played the other day.
Romero played. I'm trying to think who. I don't think
there's a couple others, but that's my only concern.
Maybe Bentancur might have played.
Yeah, and that's my only concern. Lunchtime kickoff. But,
they're shockers.
It should be Spurs.
Fulham,
Steve. Is the betting right? Fulham favourites?
No, I think the betting should probably be the other way round.
You do?
I mean, look on form. Villa actually are stronger away than they are at home. My understanding is that there could be a few Villa players out. Or certainly doubtful for the weekend, but it looks like if they got Watkins and Duran, then our defence is going to be stretched. We are without Sasha Lukic; he could be out for about a month. And Joachim Andersen pulled out of the Danish squad, but we hope he's available. Be a tough game. I think if we held Villa to a draw, it wouldn't be a bad result. But I think, for me, 14-10 looks way too short.
Yeah, I agree.
But they're not a bad side, Fulham, And you must bear in mind, are they a better side than Ipswich?
By miles.
By miles. Ipswich drew 2-2 with
Steve,
Villa.
I had about 8,500 rand to come with. If Aston Villa had scored one more goal, they were 2-1 up, and I was at the course here, and I went back. Right. They drew 2-2. They should have lost. They got slaughtered. I know their centre-half was missing.
You got a chance, Steve. You got a chance, Steve.
And when you play against Man City,
we've certainly got a chance, but you never quite know after the international break. Again, we've got Pereira coming back from South America. We've got Anthony Robinson coming back from 2 games for the US. So you're just never quite sure.
They've got a few too. The guy missed the penalty for Belgium.
Duran played for Colombia, came off the bench. They've got plenty of guys.
They've got plenty, Steve. Same boat.
See, the reason I give you a chance, and it's going to be the same thing that happened against Man City when you played them. They play a high-line Villa. And 3-1 Traore. How he never scored a hat-trick last week against Man City, I don't know. He'll be sitting there, because he's not in the Spanish team. For 2 weeks, I think he'll be practicing his runaways. I think you're going to grab them, Steve. Aston Villa, it's amazing. The game before and after they played in the Champions League, there always seems to be a bit of an upset. And away from home, I know they've done well, but I backed them when they beat Leicester and they were hanging on. They had no right to draw with Aston.
You've got a good chance here. You've got a good chance.
I think you've got a chance, Steve. I think, and I know you're under. You should say about Lukic missing and that, but I like what I've seen from Fulham.
Me too.
You were, I wouldn't say second best against Man City with their quality, but I tell you what, that's as good a performance as I've seen from a team, attacking wise, at the Etihad than I've seen all season. And that high line that Aston Villa play, you're going to catch them, Steve. And it wouldn't surprise me if one bad tackle is a red card at 4-1. But I'm backing Traore 3-1 to score.
Right.
Ipswich.
Let's hope so.
You can text me after he scored. What a genius I am. Steve, Ipswich Everton. Big game for Ipswich this.
And Everton.
It is a big game. I mean, obviously there's 4 draws in a row. And they played well. In the end, they were well beaten at West Ham, so they find themselves 7 games still without a win. Everton obviously have picked up points in the last couple of home games. And I think this is going to be Ipswich. As they do, they'll throw everything at them. I think if Everton sort of keep them at bay in that first half an hour, I think you get something there.
Yeah, I think over 2.5 goals both teams to score is an absolute certainty at a shade under 11-10. I'm going to have a couple of rounds. I always back Tarkowski to score. Set pieces, he's outstanding. He's 11-12-1 because that's going to be their game. I think they'll get outplayed Everton, but set pieces, they're always strong and competitive. So I'm going to have a couple of rand on that, but I think there's definitely goals. I like what I see from Ipswich. They got beat at West Ham trying to win the game, Steve. If they'd sat back, I think that they may have got beat by the odd goal. But I've been impressed with Ipswich at home.
Liverpool performance
that
was
Delap up front's going to give that back for a torrid time.
Is that Delap?
That's the long thrower from Stokes.
Liam Delap, Man City boy.
Yeah, they gave us. They should have beat Man City.
Yeah.
Anyway, talking about beating, Ten Hag's had a beating the last few weeks. Can his team beat Brentford, Steve?
Well, I mean, I think they have to, really. I mean, obviously, he's sort of been given an unofficial vote of confidence, Ten Hag. But if they have got some players out, United. They've got quite a few players out. So I think this could be a test for them because Brentford will have a go. I mean, and they without sort of key players up front, they haven't stopped scoring goals. So I think United are going to have to play well to get that win.
Yeah, I was at the game last year. That was when McTominay came off the bench in the 89th minute and scored 2 goals. Yes. I've got no trust in them. I'd hate to be in that change room. You can imagine there'll be a split. Ten Hag's men on the left and the balance on the right.
Since Ten Hag lost to Spurs, he hasn't lost since. But he hasn't
played yet.
Hasn't won since. No, he did. He had 3-all draws with Porto and 0-0 draw with someone else.
Yeah.
He's had 2 draws.
It's embarrassing there. I just don't, I can't, I don't know if I'll watch it, I'll tape it and watch another game, but you got to hope things improve, but I just don't see it. I don't think there's any trust in him, and Ruud van Nistelrooy sitting on the bench. You can see they've got difference of opinion, but at home, the fans will be up for it, and Brentford aren't the greatest at travelling sides. So United, but they can't have a cent of my money. Last but not least, a team that will is Newcastle at home to Brighton.
Good game.
There should be goals in this, Steve, but which way do you see it going?
Yeah, I mean, again, I mean, look at Brighton. They certainly were a team of 2 halves a couple of weeks ago. Newcastle, always hard to beat at home, and I think that they'll start as favourites. But Brighton will have a go, and if they've got players like Mitoma, they give them the opportunity to run, and they're not scared of taking teams on, and they'll have quite a bit of the ball, Brighton. But I just got a feeling that Newcastle, for me, will probably just edge it. Yeah,
I don't like the way they play Brighton. Spurs should have scored a couple more in the first half. That third goal was a killer. I think Newcastle are going to destroy them. From what I read, Isak is back in training. I make them my best bet because there's a lot of shorties I don't like. If Isak's back, I think they'll absolutely destroy Brighton. I know Brighton are good going forward.
No team has destroyed Brighton, funny enough.
But they play a high line, Paul.
Yeah, they play
Spurs should have beat them. If they hadn't given them that third goal, made it 2-1.
3 missed kicks.
Newcastle at home, the boys will be firing. The Italian's playing well for his country. After getting, 9-10 game. I'm all over Newcastle, unbeaten in the last 11 at home. Even money, while Newcastle win over 2.5 goals, 17-10. I just think Newcastle for me all day in the Premiership. On to our second page, Steve. Battle of the weekend. Southampton at home to Leicester. How do you see it going?
It is. It's a real sort of bottom of the table sort of battle. I mean, Leicester obviously got their first win a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. Southampton are yet to do that. They've only got the 1 point. I think for Southampton, the writing could be on the wall if they don't win this, and I've got a feeling Leicester will get something. I remember a few years ago on that Friday night, Southampton were down to 10 men, and Leicester ended up winning by 9. I don't think it'll be anything like that, but I've just got a feeling Leicester might definitely get something down there, and I think Russell Martin is certainly one of the favourites to get the chop fairly soon if they don't start winning.
I remember that 9-0. I backed a guy to get red card, absolutely bucketing, and he slipped and he took one of the guys out and got sent off. It was harsh at 1-0, 9-0, and there was no sympathy for was Brendan Rodgers, the way he carried on. I thought it was disgraceful. But anyway, you can only win. Southampton don't win this, Steve. I think it's tickets. But I've been impressed with Leicester. They fought hard against Arsenal the other day. Not that Southampton didn't win. They got beat. Spurs. They got a draw. There's nothing wrong with them, and I just think this has got draw written all over it.
Yeah.
5-2, the draw looks the right play. And if you remember last year under Maresca, Leicester beat them 5-0 at home and 4-1 away.
Ooh.
So they may have the sign over them. But I think that Russell Martin, Steve, you're right. You can't go and try and play football when you're the worst team in the league, especially in the first half. Let's play it long, and as the game opens up, then you try and play out from the back. But I don't know. I think there's goals in this, but 5-2 the draw is my suggestion. Bournemouth, Arsenal, Steve. From what I'm led to believe, Arsenal have got 1 million injuries. Is that right?
Yeah, they have. I mean, they could well be without. Well, obviously we know Odegaard is still out, but they could be without Saka and Martinelli, which obviously they're sort of mainstays on the wing, and I think that that could limit them a little bit. Having said that, they're hard to break down, Arsenal. Certainly away from home seem to be harder to score against away than they are at home. I think Arsenal will certainly start as favourites. Bournemouth will give it a go though at home. They lost at Leicester last time out, but obviously. But we know that they had a lot of the game, and certainly that game against Southampton the week before, they completely dominated the first half. I think this will be close, but I just think Arsenal might just, it could end up even being a 1-0, but I just think Arsenal will just edge it. Yeah,
I just think there's goals in this. Bournemouth are reckless. They have a go. When they go forward, I tell you what, like the 12,000 supporters go for them with them. I just think Arsenal will catch them. Havertz, I don't think will play, but my boy, that Timber, the left back, he's reportedly out as well. To have a bet, I took Arsenal. I didn't really know the injury situation. He scored 2 goals or over 1.5. at 7 at 10. But I'm going to back a couple of players at good prices. I can't believe Saliba is 14-1 to score any time. You know, with set pieces, he's as good as there is. And I'm going to have a couple of rand on Declan Rice as well. He scored the other day when I backed him 11-2. But this should be a good game, Steve. I'm glad it's a late game on Saturday. I think this is going to be action galore in this particular clash. On to Sunday. How much resistance can Wolves put up against Man City?
Well, if it's anything like the resistance they put up against Brentford, then not much at all. I've sort of been backing Wolves a little bit this season. I thought they were unlucky in some of their games, but that game at Brentford, they were shocking, and Gary O'Neill was rightly said it was the worst performance under him. I think if they can't defend any better, City will score a hatful.
Yeah, City to score over 3.5 goals is 26-10. Haaland to score first, 22-10. I thought that was a price. I saw a price 10-1 to score a hat-trick. Wolves are going to have a go.
They're going to have a go.
You know, that's one thing. And there was a stat I saw that Haaland is more lethal this year, percentage-wise, than he was last year, as far as shots on target go. And I fancy Man City all day. 3-10 looks a gift. You know, it's just goals for me. City in over 3.5 goals, 12-10. I feel for Wolves. I like the manager, but they've sold all his players. He's got nothing left, but great chance for City to get 3 points. Big game of the weekend, Steve. Liverpool-Chelsea. How do you see it?
Well, look, I mean, Chelsea away from home seem to be a different team than at home.
Yeah.
They seem quite happy to be able to sit back and catch teams on the break. They scored a hatful of goals away. Liverpool should certainly start as favourites. I think there's no question. And apart from that sort of blip against Forest, they've won every game. I think Liverpool certainly starts as favourites, but it could be, if Chelsea score, then I think, they're going to make themselves hard to break down. But I've just got a feeling, Salah's on song. I think Liverpool should just edge it.
Yeah, Cucurella's not playing. He's suspended. So obviously that left-hand role is going to be a problem.
Where's Chilwell?
Chilwell, no, he's been injured all the time. If he's still at the club, I think he got ostracised. Got a fancy Liverpool.
He is back in the squad, I believe.
Okay.
But they're also without Fofana, Chelsea.
Yeah, Fofana's also suspended.
But that guy's back, Reece James?
Yeah, he's always injured. He played him and Luke Shaw. They play 2 games a month or 2 games every 6 months. I fancy Liverpool, Steve, but I think the bookings is a certainty. I took one of our winners, one of our early winners, Andrew Jackson, to the Liverpool-Chelsea game at Stamford Bridge, and I didn't realise the bitterness between the two fans. Oh, yeah. That goes back to Mourinho's days with that ghost goal. Yeah. But I'll be taking the bookings, see what price over 4.5 bookings is. I think that's a certainty. There's a couple of players, if I find a bookmaker, because that Cacheda, he always gets booked, and that, this is going to be a feisty game.
Yeah, very much.
So I'll be looking for bookings with a couple of players, but I've got to fancy Liverpool. And last but not least, Steve, Notts Forest Palace.
Yeah, well, Forest are having a pretty standout season compared to before. Apart from that sort of blip when they lost at home to Fulham, they've winning at Liverpool, good points at Chelsea. I think that they'll start as favourites for me. I think Palace have been pretty disappointing. He can't seem to sort of get the right balance of the side this season, Glasner. So for me, I think Forest will certainly start as favourites.
Yeah, Morgan's Gibbs White starts. I'll be backing him to score over 1.5 goals at 16-10. I think that's a better bet than Forest. I think they're going to have to score 2 goals. I think there's goals in this. As you say, Palace haven't won in 7, but they have performed well. So Monday night will be a closer game than I think the betting suggests. Steve, on to the Championship. Best game of the weekend, or Championship anyway. Yorkshire Derby, Leeds versus Sheffield United. How do you see it?
Yeah, I'm surprised about the betting. I mean, Leeds are certainly, you'd expect to be favourites, but Sheffield United, 9 games, no defeats, would actually be top if it wasn't for the 2 points deducted. Yeah. Considering they conceded 100+ goals last year, they've only conceded 3 in 9 games. So, I think that gives them more than a fighting chance than the odds show. I think Leeds, it's going to be a sellout at Ellen Road. I think that passionate crowd. I think. Yeah. Under the lights, I fancy Leeds to win, but I think it's going to be pretty close.
Stevie, why did they have 2 points deducted?
That was, again, it was to do with their financial fair play the previous year when they were in the Championship. So it's sort of a throwback for that. But it's only 2 points. It's not like 6 or 8 that other teams had in the Premier League. So they seem to have overcome it. Look, they're joint top even after that. So it hasn't affected them too much.
Yeah, I fancy Leeds, Steve. Big crowd. The one thing about Sheffield United, a lot of youngsters. And the crowd, the occasion could be too much for them. And it's do or die for Leeds. They want automatic. So I've got a fancy Leeds of the 2 teams. But I agree it'll be a lot closer than the betting suggests. Steve, Cardiff City, under the new manager, they've started off... They've won one of the 3 games. I think they can beat Plymouth Argyle. Do you agree?
Yeah, look, Plymouth have certainly picked up recently, but that's at home.
Yeah.
They don't really perform particularly well away. I think the odds are a little bit short maybe for Cardiff, because I think Plymouth, will give them a good game. But you're right. I mean, obviously under the new manager, they've managed to get their first win. I think this will be close, but I think if there was to be a winner, I probably would go for the home side.
Steve, one quick question. Every week, I'm going to ask you a team's nickname. What are Plymouth's nickname?
The Pilgrims.
100%. 10 out of 10.
The worst thing was, what was Cardiff's nickname?
Bluebirds.
Bluebirds, 100%. Remember, someone got there and they made them plain red.
But
Couldn't
only
believe
won
it.
a week.
Well, that was the owner. That was the Malaysian owner.
They made them plain red.
Who got to play in red, and the fans are really up in arms against it. So
£50 for a blue shirt that make you plain red. Anyway, Steve, I think under 2.5 goals in that Cardiff game is the right way to go. Now, one team I thought would have a great season, Luton Town, are woeful. Can you see your brother's team, Watford, upsetting them?
Well, first of all, I think the odds are very skewed here.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a derby. There's no love lost between Luton and Watford. They don't play each other all that often, but it is a derby, and there's, as I say, there's no love lost. I fancy Watford for me. I think Luton have had a poor season. Watford, a bit up and down, but I think, I just got a feeling this could be. There's a lot of value in those odds.
Yeah, I totally agree. Don't see Watford losing. Oxford United, who have come right of late, Steve, against my team for promotion, West Brom. How do you see it?
Yeah, Oxford have had a great season. I think a lot of people might have thought they'd be relegation fodder, but particularly at home they've been very strong. But this is a big test for them. And and what West Brom, again, one of the standout teams in the division, expected to be pushing for promotion. And I fancy West Brom to get a result there.
Yeah, West Brom in a draw for me. On to our second page. My boys, Preston, at home against Coventry City. How you see it, Steve?
Well, Coventry
Excuse me.
certainly haven't travelled at all well this year.
Yeah.
They picked up a couple of wins, but they've been at home. Preston, look, listen, you know better than me. You're not sure what you're going to get, but at home they're hard to beat.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I fancy a draw. But if there was to be a winner, I would go with Preston.
I hope you're right, Steve. I just don't know how. Watch us against Burnley. Jeez, did we have a go? Well, even the fans were going berserk in the crowd. But I don't know, Coventry are one of those Jekyll and Hyde teams. They should have beat Man United in the FA Cup. And the following week they got hammered. But you never know. Preston are hard-working but limited. And I think it's got draw written all over it. Blackburn have won their 4 home league games against the Swansea City team, who are always hard to beat. I fancy Blackburn, Steve. Do you agree?
I think that sounds about right. I mean, Blackburn are certainly favourites, but Swansea play good football. For me, they always seem to. I always feel they should be doing better than they are, but they are a hard team to beat. But as you say, Blackburn at home score goals, and I think they'll certainly start as favourites.
Yeah. 9 to 10, both teams to score. Looks a fair price. Middlesbrough, Steve, I think absolute certainties to beat Bristol City. Do you agree?
Yeah, you would think so. They've lost and won a couple that you probably wouldn't have expected, but I fancy Borough to win that. Bristol City a little bit unconvincing, particularly on the road this year. So for me, home win.
Yeah. Millwall against Derby County. Derby doing great at home, but away from home, a little bit weak.
Well, I think that's it. Derby have had, it's in the win. I think they've won 4 and lost 5, but it's their home record that's giving them the points. Millwall are always hard to beat at the Den, and I think of the two, I'd go for a home win. Yeah,
I've got to agree of the two sides. Here, on to our final page in the championship, and it's a relegation battle. Can't believe I'm saying this about Tweels Horsman's team, Queen's Park Rangers, but Portsmouth haven't won this season. QPR, great chance.
Well, I think it is. I mean, look, between them, QPR have only won 1 and Porter 0. You know, as you say, you know, when you look at the way those teams have been in past years, you know, you thought they'd be fighting near the top of the table. But I think QPR would be favourites. Porter started off well, but they seem to have sort of fallen away, and it's almost like, you know, without winning, I think they're struggling a little bit psychologically. And I think QPR have got the players. I think they could just unlock that Porter defence, and I think it'll be close. But I fancy a home win.
I think both teams have scored 8 to 10. It's an absolute gift. Sheffield Wednesday against Burnley, who our South African man won't be playing, Carl Foster. I was going to take 16 to 10 Burnley. I think they're not a bad side, especially having watched them beat Leeds away from home. But without our Bafana striker, Steve, it's going to be a lot closer than that.
Yeah, I mean, Sheffield Wednesday, you know, not had a great, but they've had a couple of, obviously they had that big home win at the beginning, but then they had a little bit of a shock home win. They beat West Brom. Yeah. So you're not sure what you're going to get, but certainly at home they're strong. Burnley still one of the favourites to go up, and you would expect them to be favourites to this game. You know, the odds are not particularly short, so there's quite a bit of value there. I think this is the sort of game could go either. I think if there was to be a winner, probably Burnley. Yeah. But I wouldn't be surprised if Sheffield Wednesday hold them.
Yeah, I've got to agree with that. On to the last 2 games, and I think the betting is totally wrong here. Stoke City against Norwich, Steve. I'm all over Norwich, but how do you see it?
Yeah, I think Norwich should be too. Look, Stoke obviously got a new manager. They had a big win quite recently, but you'd expect Norwich, you know, just started to show a little bit of form. Yeah. I think of the two, I'd go with the Canaries. Yeah,
they score a lot of goals, Norwich. I can't believe they're 17 to 10. And Sunday's game, Hull City versus Sunderland, another game that looks like there should be goals, Steve.
Yeah, I think there will be goals. I think it'll be a close game. Hull have sort of picked up of late. And Sunderland, obviously, as we know, are sort of at the top of the table, but they're not unbeatable, Sunderland. But you're not sure. They've got a lot of good young players. Yeah. And if it starts to go against them, you sort of wonder. It's going to be a big crowd. I think I read they're expecting about 25,000. A lot of away fans are going to be there. I think it'll be a really good game. I think there'll be goals. I fancy Sunderland, but I wouldn't be surprised if it ends a draw. Yeah, got to agree with you.
Best bet.
Best bet, Steve. I think I know you're going. Who you on?
Actually, I'm going to go for West Brom. Yeah. I just think that they'll be a little bit too strong. And my value bet, I'm going for Watford. I think that a bit of derby game, and you know, they got an opportunity to go to Luton and get the bragging rights.
Yeah, Steve, I'm on Newcastle. Alexander, if Isak doesn't play well, then I could have done my money. But all the reports that he is going to be playing, even money, I think is a good bet. And I'm on Norwich. I can't believe 17 to 10. I watched Stoke play against Hull. First half they played well. Second half they got destroyed. So I'm on Norwich City 17 to 10. Steve, thanks as always.
Thank you,
Steve.
Speak
over the weekend. Take care.
All the best, Steve.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Let's just quickly talk about some AFCON results, Budge. South Africa, Tuesday, Congo.
Yeah, we drew 1-1. Paul, I watched the game. We're hanging on at the end.
Yeah, we were leading, weren't we?
1-0 up, and they scored on half-time. We were lucky to get out of it.
We played them again on Friday.
No, we beat them 5-0 on Friday, the previous Friday. We beat them 5-0 at
and drew the next time?
Yeah, so it was home and away.
So the standings, Uganda 10 points, South Africa 8 points, Congo 4 points, after 4 matches. Yeah, November the 11th, away to Uganda.
Then we had the final games to South Sudan at home, so we should go through, Paul.
Okay, that's very good news. Right, last 16 of the Carling knockout.
Paul,
when last did you have a Carling?
Carling, she's a black label. You won't believe it, a couple of weeks ago in the UK.
Good man.
That's all they had. But anyway, Paul, you know, we just never know with the international break. But I'm hoping AmaZulu get a result, Paul. But playing against Steve's team, Stellenbosch, won't be easy. This game's in Umlazi. You know, I watched AmaZulu against Chiefs. They got beat 3-0, but it was, 3-1. It wasn't a 3-1 result. No. But, you know, Stellenbosch got robbed in the cup final.
Got robbed of the,
so 2-1 looks the right play. Looks like it could go to extra time. Under 2.5 goals is the right play. But I'm hoping for AmaZulu, but any result could happen there, Paul. Pirates against Magezi.
4-10.
Clint Larson's team, Magezi, you know, done well to bring them up. It's got to be Pirates, Paul. They're
all day.
In great form, 4-10. And I like Polokwane. You know, they haven't played at home this year, but I watched them lose to Sundowns in the Cup, and they played well. Maruma Gallets, you never know with them, Paul, but Polokwane at home all day for me. Sundowns, you can't go against them, Paul. The only negative is a lot of their players are involved with the Bafana team. So they may be a little bit lackadaisical.
6 to 10 is a good
6
price.
to 10 is a decent price, yeah. So Sundowns all day.
Cape Town City,
Cape Town City, Royal AM, yeah. Cape Town City, Tinkler's team, Paul. I always like Eric Tinkler. I think he's top notch. But Royal AM don't get beat too easy. 4 league games, 4 draws. But of the 2 teams, if I was to have a bet, it would be 11 to 10 Cape Town City. Paul, Kaiser Chiefs, I've been impressed. I got stopped on the way to the studio by one of their staunchest Durban supporters that I know. They've been good to watch, Paul. Normally the Chiefs in previous times haven't been. You know, I always watch Chiefs when they're on. But, you know, it's late night, so if I don't watch it, I'll tape it and watch it tomorrow. Gavin knows how to beat Chiefs, Paul, but I don't like what I see from his team. Tough game. They're playing, I think it's in Petersburg or Polokwane. I fancy Chiefs, Paul. TS Galaxy against Chipper United. Chipper and P are hard to beat away from home. I don't know. A draw for that particular game. And Richards Bay and Mlazi, Paul. 22 to 10, I think it's a great price. Yeah, they don't get beat at home too often. And I know Seka Kuna have been involved in the CAF Confederations Cup experienced team. But in Mlazi, I think only Orlando Pirates have beat them in the last several league games, Paul. Okay. So I'm all over Richards Bay.
Your bets?
Yeah, on to our bets, Paul. Yeah, Soccer 6 on Saturday. I'm gone Cardiff City win and draw against Plymouth Argyle.
Against the Pilgrims.
Against the Pilgrims, yeah. Luton Town, the field against Watford. I don't see West Brom losing at Oxford United. I'm going the field in the Preston North End Coventry City clash, ending up with 2 bankers.
Good man.
Tottenham to beat West Ham and Athletic Bilbao to beat Espanyol 2-1-6.
Excellent.
On to the second, Soccer 6. I'm chancing Polokwane City to beat Maroon Gallets. The field in the Fulham versus Aston Villa fixture. I'm siding with Everton to avoid defeat against Ipswich Town. I don't trust Man United at home, so I'm going the field in their match against Brentford. I think Newcastle United have beat Brentford, and I think Leicester City win and draw at Southampton 2-1-6.
Now the 10.
On the 10, I'm bankering Como, Cesc Fabregas's team to beat Parma.
Perry Como.
I'm going for Bologna win and draw against Genoa. Orlando Pirates to beat Magesi. Polokwane City to beat Maroon Gallets in the field in the Fulham versus Aston Villa game. On to the second page, I'm going the field in the Man United versus Brentford clash. Newcastle United to beat Brighton. 2 away win and draws. Leicester City at Southampton and Norwich City at Stoke City and Osasuna. Win and draw against Real Betis 288. On to our Soccer 13, I'm banking Arsenal to beat Bournemouth. Man United win and draw against Brentford. Newcastle United to beat Brighton and Hove Albion. Looking for the upset in Fulham win and draw against Aston Villa. Everton win and draw at Ipswich Town. And Leicester City win and draw at Southampton. Blackburn Rovers to be too good at home against Swansea City. On to our second page, 2 bankers, Middlesbrough to beat Bristol City and Millwall to beat Derby County. And I'm going Queen's Park Rangers win and draw at home against Portsmouth. I've thrown the draw in with Burnley at Sheffield Wednesday. Going for Norwich City to beat Stoke City and Charlton Athletic win and draw against high-flying Stockport County 256.
Budgie's best
Budgie's bets, Paul. Thank goodness we're back in the Premiership. Yeah, Paul, I'm going Newcastle United to beat Brighton. I'm going over 2.5 goals, both teams to score, yes, in the Ipswich, Everton and Notts Forest Crystal Palace games, and over 3.5 goals.
Over 35 goals.
In Wolves versus Man City, 4,200 to 200. Team goal sides, I'm going Arsenal, Everton and Notts Forest all to score over 1.5 goals, and Man City to score over 2.5 goals, 4,000
like
to 200.
Yeah, that's 4,000. That's good odds.
Onto the Championship, I'm going Middlesbrough to beat Bristol City and over 2.5 goals. I'm going Norwich City to win or draw against Stoke City and both teams to score. That was like 16 to 10.
So 1-all's good up here.
Yeah, 1-all's good enough, yeah. And then over 2.5 goals in the Sunday match between Hull City and Sunderland, 2,200 to 200. Championship, both teams to score sides are Blackburn, Swansea City, Luton, Watford, Millwall, Derby, and QPR, Portsmouth, 2,100 to 200. Spanish omelette, I'm going Atletico Madrid to beat Leganes and over 2.5 total goals. Villarreal to beat Getafe and both teams to score, yes, And Valencia to beat Las Palmas on Monday, 3,100 to 200.
The big
and
one.
Our Collis King 6 on X, I'm going Newcastle United to beat Brighton, Man City to beat Wolves, Middlesbrough to beat Bristol City, Napoli to beat Empoli on Monday, Atletico Madrid to beat Leganes, and Valencia to beat Las Palmas, 3,800 to 200.
Excellent, Budge. I really like some of those bets. And don't forget those lucky 19. Get your bets on for this weekend. At least the football's back. Until next time, stay on side.